Hey, hey, welcome to Real Talk Live, where the talk is real and the entertainment is cheap. I'm Todd, one of your hosts. This is my co-host AJ.
Yo.
And we're happy and excited and overjoyed to introduce our friend, our brother, a guy we know, Grant.
What's up?
If only you knew how fitting that was. So, guys, we're going to give a couple minutes for everyone to hop on before we really get rolling. We got a good turnout right now. We're at 17.
Heck yeah,
hey,
man.
you know the deal, guys. We want to smash some records.
Smash.
I've got a little bit of info for the crowd when we get in about some research we've been doing.
Okay.
I'm letting them know what we found out.
Oh, yeah.
As we've been telling you guys for a while, that our numbers used to be 1,700, 1,900.
Oh, it's just crazy.
And you still have sound on the computer. And what we have found out is everyone kind of mocked us when we talked about shadow banning and, you know, being filtered by the Zuck and his crew. We should say something other than him in case they have that as a code word. I mean, I was just Z.
Z-Man.
The Z-Man. And we found out, guys, I'm going to go into it when we get a few more people on, but we found out that there's some validity to the fact that we have been mildly censored.
Manipulated.
Good word. So we'll talk about that in a second. But in the meantime, what we want you guys to know is how important it is for you to help us beat the bots, as we've said,
hashtag.
which you can do by liking and sharing this video. Because no matter how much we get, whether it is or isn't, or how much censored we are, if you guys share that and there's organic shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then guess what? We can beat the bots. So
Beat the
help
bots.
us out. We've got 23 people on right now. We would appreciate it so much if you take a second and share this. I can tell you this much. Listen, I'm not going to promise it's entertaining. I'm not going to promise that it's going to be great. But what I am going to promise is that we're going to have some fun, talk about life, God, talk about some things that are uncomfortable, those kinds of things you don't talk about in church.
Ooh.
And introduce you to Grant, who is family really to us.
Absolutely.
So we'll go ahead and give a few more minutes. Invite your friends right now. Hey,
Come on.
Austin. Bethany says, "What is up, y'all?"
Be part of our organic
Jordan,
family.
Austin, I'm so excited to see you. If you're still here, say something. Because you remember when you were part of the crew and
Who?
then you left. Austin.
Oh, he left a heart emoji at the
Yeah,
very
remember
beginning.
Fun Guy Austin? And then
do.
once he left, he never watched the show.
It's true. Hey, Austin.
So we hope you're on. Jordan, Darlene. Hey, Darlene, love you. She let me know today she is not feeling well.
Hope you feel better, Darlene.
Man, she still has a positive attitude. Jordan, hey, Sean Martin.
Sean Martin's on?
Yeah, you know him?
S-E-A-N, Sean Martin?
Yes.
Hey, Sean.
You didn't tell us who that is. You just
That's
got
my friend.
Oh, I don't know if he's still on, but he said he was. Sean, if you're on,
Went to
AJ
school with
loves
him.
you.
Hey, dude, love you, man. For real.
This is like a guy he barely knows. I'm just kidding. Brandon. Well, hey, hello, my family. Beverly. Mandy says shalom.
Hello,
Kayla. Amber. Hey, that's okay. Allie Gay, we haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
How you doing,
Sydney
Allie?
just says hi, Grant. Nothing to. Oh, and
then
me
Team
finally.
Money.
What's up,
Yo,
Sid?
what up, girl?
Hey.
Anyway, Regina, how you doing? Isaiah, what's up? So,
My head hurts.
guys, again, welcome to Real Talk. We're going to take a second and talk to you because you don't believe us. So, guys, please, what's our share count right now? Got to buy time.
Got to buy time. Hey, did you know that when you invest time in buying time, you're investing in buying time? That was straight up a Yogi Berra quote.
A real one?
No, I
No,
wish
you
so.
made that up.
I did
100%.
make it up. But it was like Yogi Berra. It was Yogi Berra-esque.
Yeah, except even less rational. What'd you say? What are we at? Share count wise?
Still
My
buying time.
phone is being pretty dumb.
Oh,
currently.
nice.
That is the
That's
lamest excuse in the
Wow.
world.
18 shares.
18 shares. Guys, we got 26 people. We need 26 shares. We need about 35. Last week,
Yes.
we started to slowly beat the bots again, Grant.
Oh,
You're going to
we're
be
getting
shocked
there.
by this. I think we ended up, almost 800.
Oh, yeah,
which is
it was-
crazy.
It was really close.
I believe 35. Let's aim for 35, the magic number. Would you please take a second and share this? And by the way, listen, guys, I know you're in a world where internet is just so alluring and social media is at your beck and command, and you can go to YouTube and watch crazy things and cooking shows about peanut butter pies.
Pyromaniacs.
Listen, yeah, fire. Or you can stick with us and trust me that there will be small parts of this that are enjoyable. Hey, what's up, Isaiah? How'd you find us? I'd love
up,
to
man?
hear if that's first time watching. Thank you so much. So, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Elephant in your room?
Don't worry, Grant. We're going to get to you.
Glad it's not me.
Get out. Elephant in the room is the fact that everyone mocked us. Everyone said to us, guys, the Z-Man isn't actually censoring you guys. He isn't crushing your views. I don't even know if we told Blake about this yet.
I don't think we did.
Blake, we've got some huge news for you. So, Chad Hummel's on here? What?
That's the news. There you go.
Hey, Chad.
Luke, you know Chad Hummel? This is a small world if you do, Luke.
That's pretty cool.
I want to talk to you later, Luke, about my view of Luke's growing up. True story. I always had this thing when I was a kid that a guy named Luke was going to take my girlfriend. He had blonde hair. You know what I mean? How you create things in mind? No? Too far? Chad Hummel, you dog. You guys have heard some stories about Chad Hummel.
I think I've heard the name Chad thrown around.
Yeah, Chummel is what they used to call him.
Nice.
Funny story about the first time I ever spoke to him. He threatened me on online. You remember that, Chad? I love you, buddy. I really do. I love that guy. Fight Club, brother. Luke, you're a Fight Club man. That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have something similar at our church called Lionheart, but
Yeah.
we have a couple of Fight Club guys at our church. So a lot of
Pretty awesome, man.
yeah, I feel really good about that.
Program.
I got off topic. Let's talk about censorship.
Yeah, the
so
Z-Man.
it turns out that a few of our live videos through a, how do we put this? A sharp viewer. Luke says, "No worry, I'm here." Not now, Luke. This was a long time ago. I'm not worried about him now. But there's something about Luke's in your mind when you think of a Luke. They're always blonde with blue eyes, handsome, charming, kind of like Luke here.
Yeah.
I honestly was just kind of thinking Luke Kuechly, which
Completely different,
I think
yeah.
he has blue eyes though, so he might have just dyed his hair black. I don't know.
Luke's just such a good name, man. The studs are always named Luke.
It's true.
Anyway,
wasn't named
even
Luke.
Blake's saying this. So here's the deal. What a small world, though, that Chad Hummel, he probably
it's
hopped off
crazy.
already. Knew Luke, who knows Krista. Everyone's connected.
Yep.
7 Steps to Kevin Bacon or whatever. You ever heard of that?
Uh-oh.
You've
Yeah,
never
it's a
heard of
game
that?
called 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Never heard of it.
Anyway, listen, turns out I'm trying to make it fun. We're getting out of hand. I'm losing control. We found out from a viewer who ended up letting us know that our URL, several of our live videos, the URL at the end of them had a little attachment that said live explicit content. Correct. And that seemed to coincide. He said, "I'm not a tech guy, but I've noticed it seemed to coincide with our lower numbers." Now, we went back and looked at least at 1 or 2 of those. There was nothing explicit. However, we did talk about things that are, I don't know.
Hot button, I guess.
Yeah, hot button or like maybe biblical responses to things the world says.
No to.
Yeah. So we need your help. That was a
Yeah.
long story for nothing.
It's a long story for nothing. But yeah, he's right, man. It was.
Chad,
it was
are you
pretty
still
surreal.
here? Because you're ignoring me. It's really hurtful. Hey, Jane. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Jane.
So I think our first segment, guys, we're going to dive right in. If you're new to Real Talk's just an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible with some people, not just us, but the people in this chat.
That's right.
Who want to have those kinds of conversations. Maybe there's things that you felt uncomfortable talking about in church, asking your pastor. Maybe you're going through something that you just don't have anyone to turn to, or you have something that you're thinking that can benefit other people. There's a link above, www.theremnant.life /real-talk. I forgot our own link. If you click that link, it's going to pull up a web page. If you go down to the web page, it has submit a question. Click that, form fillable box, tippity tap, send it in. It goes into our database live right now, completely anonymously. I promise you guys, couldn't find you if I tried, because I've tried, because we had some snotty questions.
It's true.
So you can ask questions about us, the show, God, the Bible, something going on in your life, anything like that.
Yep.
So, Chad, do you remember threatening me? I'm just kidding. I love you, man. In all seriousness, weird story. Chad used to be on my flag teams all the time.
Really?
I've played flag with these guys several times.
Yeah,
I don't think Chad was ever on one of the good teams. He's kind of like we've been.
Yeah.
I had like one good team, bunch of bad teams. One good team, bunch of bad teams.
yeah.
Yeah.
We feel your pain, Chad.
Yeah. Trying to get him to come out with us again. He's 6'4". Yeah.
Could use height.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a new 6'4" guy.
Yeah, we do.
One
If
that can
only you had
snap the
one,
ball
I
when his
mean.
parents aren't around.
Listen. Okay, let's not get into
All right, we're gonna dive into our first segment,
Yes, sir.
right? Called Real Random.
Real random.
What's real random, AJ?
Hey, real random is what we
That's
do.
true, Chad.
Random things for your entertainment. But lately, we've had a new segment that's been attached to Real Random called Overrated, Underrated.
in overrated, underrated, you and I, all of us, whatever, we are going to look at I have no idea what these say.
Yep.
And we're going to give our opinion whether they're overrated or underrated. And here's the cool part. You guys that are watching with us get to interact with us. After this segment, we got a segment where you can win a prize. So let us know. We used to run on TV, Todd for QBS weight loss. Remember what I said, Chad, and I liked him? That was just for the camera. Anyway, that's not true. It's too bad the 6'4" guys can't throw. So you had to put an athlete back there. Boom! Just kidding. Miss you. All right, here we go. Number one. Can't handle this. Number one. Yeah, AJ did a good job. Overrated, underrated. The Paul brothers. That would be Jake and Logan.
That's right, Jake and Logan Paul. So I'm going to separate them. I'm going to say Logan Paul. The dude seems to really chill out over the years, past couple of years, and
Man, you're taking this really serious.
yeah. And I don't know, man. He seems to have grown quite a bit. So I'm going to say Logan Paul, underrated. I think people need to give him another chance. Jake Paul, severely overrated. That guy's out of his mind. I mean, there was some new stuff that came out literally like yesterday about him trying to fight Conor McGregor, and it's crazy. So
Honestly, I would say I'm probably about the same. Jake he's all over the place. He's not very smart when it comes to like not getting in trouble.
yeah.
Like he's always getting in trouble and stuff. I honestly don't think a lot of the viewers here have probably like kept up as much as we might have with the Paul brothers. But what was it? 2 years ago now, like around February, I think, Logan posted a video that like he got a ton of backlash for. And he essentially got canceled, and everybody was like,
Canceled.
They
Yeah.
were like, this guy sucks,
Hey, Karen.
yada yada. But I think after that point, he kind of brought it back to actually being Logan, and
Hey,
at this
tone
point, it's more
it
of
down, man.
like,
Yeah,
honestly,
Candace,
it's
someone.
underrated now.
You said he's what? Underrated?
Underrated.
Yeah, Candace, I didn't know the Paul brothers were either. Ironically, Grant here is the one who introduced me to these guys. So, YouTube personalities, I don't know how familiar you are with this world out there, but these are people, particularly who have made a career. Logan and Jake Paul are two brothers, actually from Ohio, went out west in California, and they've become famous and millionaires from doing crazy YouTube stunts.
Yep.
The older brother, Logan, and again, you're actually repping his merch right now from back in the day. That's how this guy told me all about him. The older brother got kind of trouble for a while because he put a suicide. That's a long story.
Yeah.
There was a picture and a video. He kind of changed
Yeah.
to a degree. And then the younger brothers, they're calling out Conor McGregor. It's just a bunch of crazy
Yeah,
nonsense.
it's wild.
Long story short, I believe, I think, I'm actually very intrigued by Logan Paul because I feel like that guy's on a journey.
That's good. I like that.
A journey. They're certainly not Christian guys. Don't go out and watch them. They're not appropriate. But I will say that it's been interesting to watch him start to grow up and ask questions about life. I'd say
Yeah.
he's probably, 24,
He's
25?
probably around my age. Yeah.
The other one's younger. But yeah, I don't know, man. Probably overrated.
Overrated. All right.
Okay, moving on. We went way too long on that. Vinyl.
Vinyl, man, listen. I think vinyl is overrated only in the sense of how expensive it is. First off, you gotta have a record player. Those in itself are, especially if you want a decent one, it's like $100. And I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. I know people like to listen to vinyl because, according to them, it's a whole different sound. But that's just not me. So overrated.
I'd say overrated.
Overrated. I don't listen to anything. I'm not hip. I'm not part of the scene.
I'm not part of the scene.
Oh, this is going. Chex Mix.
Chex Mix. Nice. Dude, it's got to be underrated. Chex Mix is one of the best snacks out there.
I like the fact that you can do various types of Chex Mix.
That's true. That
Grant?
makes sense.
These are like we're pondering the great philosophies of life. Do you like Chex Mix?
Yeah, I'd go with underrated.
Nice.
Underrated. I love a
Underrated
good
Chex
Chex Mix.
Mix.
You can go sweet, you can go salty, you can go hot, you can go spicy.
Buffalo.
Both the same. Okay. Snuggies.
Snuggies. Listen, I actually do have a Snuggie. Long story behind this Snuggie. It's a Purdue Snuggie, but it's very comfortable. Underrated.
You have a Snuggie?
Do.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
It's not mine, actually. It's a friend of mine's from a long time ago.
Okay.
I'm gonna go overrated because I'm like already hot all the time, so I don't really see the point of it.
Same here. Overrated, but for cold people, great idea. Not as good as a thermal coat.
I love this. These are great.
Moving on. Satchel / Merces.
Yep.
What is a Merce, you say? We actually had this way early on. Do you
Long
remember this?
time ago. I remember this.
You said you would use one.
I didn't say I
yes,
would
you
use
did.
one.
Yes,
I did
you
not
did.
say I would use one.
Okay, well, we'll go into that in a second. There's definitely a clip of you saying it could be stylish.
I did say people can rep it okay. I'm saying I would not wear it.
That is disgusting. Backwards robe, Sierra says. Well played, Sierra. That's pretty clever.
That's hilarious.
That's really, that is what they are. It's just a robe backwards. Huh. Anyway.
I didn't think about that either. Satchels and Merces, I'm going to say they're overrated because they've been oversaturated. I think certain people can pull them off, not me.
No, you didn't say the satchel could be pulled off. You specifically said the Merce.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sticking with that. That's good. That's a man purse, in case you guys didn't know. Which, by the way, is just a purse that they call
Let me
a
ask you
different
this.
name.
Would a fanny pack be considered a Merce?
You have answered your own question with the word fanny. I don't even need to say anything. Anyway, you?
I'd say overrated. Yeah.
Satchels are cool if you're talking Indiana Jones style. In fact, I have one. It's leather and it's big and it's not a Merce. Tiny little Merces, which are literally purses with an M on it, that AJ thinks are stylish. They can just match your shirt. Overrated. Yeah, it's a satchel. Yeah, Jones had one exactly.
Yes.
Never mind. It reminds me of a hilarious line from that movie that I never can say.
Oh, yeah.
It's a.
Yeah, I remember.
Anyway. All right, moving forward. That was a great segment. We're going to slide right into our next segment because we have a full show. Stick
show.
with us.
Stick
what's
around.
What's our share count?
Hey, we got 30 people on right now. So
Guys, this is great. Let's smash some records. Last
Smash
week we
'em.
hit 40, I think.
I think we did hit 40 last
Let's
week.
get to 41. Who thinks we can do it?
41 people.
We only got 21 shares.
21
shares.
shares, 29 people, 8 people that aren't sharing. Why don't you love us? We need your help. We're desperate for attention.
Desperate.
Anyway, very
Couldn't
nice rhyme.
emphasize enough. Thank you.
Merce is a wallet with a shoulder strap.
Boom.
I don't think he's defending it. Luke, you're not defending it, right? Please tell me you're not. We already discussed you taking people's girlfriends.
That's why he does.
Yeah, because he's man enough to wear a Merce. Yeah, that's fair. All right, our next segment is called Remnant Roulette.
Boom.
What's Remnant Roulette, you ask? Well, AJ will tell us.
Hey, Remnant Roulette, we get to answer. I always say answer to ask. We get to ask you guys a question. You guys answer it, get put into a drawing, and if you get picked, you win a prize. But the kicker is you must be here when we announce the winners.
He's right. Now, we haven't done this in a couple weeks. Clint's already looking. Fun turn. It's time. It's not a triple Thursday. It's a double Thursday, double Ganza.
Double Thursday, double Ganza.
What does that mean? It's double the price. And Luke says negative. He's not defending it. So Thank you. So what we're going to do here is, guys, we're going to give you a few minutes to drop your answer in the comments below. If you're still here, we usually do it in about, I'll tell you, probably 30 minutes
30,
to
yeah.
45. We announce the winner. You win the prize. We mail it to you. Bada bing, bada boom over here.
Hey,
you
you
win.
get a prize over here.
All right. You got a question? All
Hey,
right.
he's got a
Why don't you go ahead and ask him? You've got
So,
a mic
I
now.
Get the mic
Can you
now.
guys
Now,
hear?
it's very
Can you guys
special.
hear him?
Yeah, when
Yeah,
when he's on.
They
Yeah.
can hear me. Trust me. They can hear me.
Oh,
Weird, but okay.
wow.
So, sticking with the styles and whether or not it was actually a style, what's the most embarrassing fashion trend that you used to rock? The most embarrassing fashion trend that you used to rock yourself.
You got an interesting look over there.
Because I thought of one immediately.
Really?
Yep.
What? I don't know.
You
Trying
never
to
rocked anything embarrassing your whole life, AJ? Really?
I probably have. I just got to think for a second.
Well, I'll tell you guys something I did. So I had a friend.
Okay.
His name was Jamie, actually.
Okay.
And he, in middle school, elementary school, Spanish guy, good with the ladies, and I was a pudgy guy that wasn't. And he had the hair that naturally flipped down like this, like you
Yeah.
get when you grow yours. Where
Like
it'll
that
just go-
90s style, like
Yeah.
middle part. Yeah.
Well, I thought, why not join the party?
This is
So
amazing.
what I did was, there's actually a picture of this because I did it on picture day. I decided to just wet my, have you seen my hair? It's way too thick to do that. I wet it down and then I parted it. And then I took the front and I twisted it so that I made a false,
Yeah, false middle part, little sort of deal.
yeah. Absolutely disgusting.
So,
then
like-
I hairsprayed it so that it would stay.
So, like, was your mom all about it? She's like, yeah.
Oh, they didn't care what I did, man.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm imagining like alfalfa, but like he pulled.
That's
it
pretty
down
much,
into-
that's honestly what it kind of looked like.
so amazing.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Marcus?
So, I would say for me, man, what was it?
Pegged my pants. What's that mean?
I'm not sure.
What's that mean, Luke? I'm intrigued.
I think the most embarrassing thing for me was I would let people cut my hair.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Like, I would just let people do my hair. Like, if I needed a haircut, I've let people do, like, cut my hair before, and it wasn't very good. So then I just had to walk around with my hair looking all kinds of crazy chopped. So,
Oh, I thought you were going to mention your skin tight pants.
not embarrassed by the skin tight pants. That was
Yeah,
just
that's
a-
just me. Anyway, moving on.
I
Katie, I
had
knew
shaved
you when
my
you had your
legs
short hair.
before.
Why? Did you tell us?
That's not even like
That
wardrobe
was like,
stuff either.
we didn't even ask you. And you just,
I'm just trying to think of embarrassing stuff.
Grant?
I honestly don't know. Like, my parents made me dress like essentially like this for most of my life, so that's just kind of what I went with. The closest thing that I could say that I honestly don't even know that I was embarrassed about because I was a little kid and never really cared is I used to dress up like a cowboy. Like, I had like a full get up.
That's awesome.
Like, I had boots and a cowboy hat, and at one point I got like a duster and all that stuff.
That's
Like, I was,
awesome.
like- I just wandered around everywhere like I was a cowboy, and I freaking.
Hey,
loved
Elizabeth,
it.
if
So,
you're on. That's spectacular. Man, we got some good ones in here. I'm just going to read a few.
Okay.
We've got, for some platforms, emo hair, pinup style hair and makeup every single day. Did you know her then, Blake? Curious what that means. I had a very tiny ponytail. You still do. Daisy Duke, short shorts. Isaac. Oh, my goodness. Isaac.
Wait,
That was Isaac.
I got what was it?
Daisy Duke, short shorts from Isaac.
Nice.
Greg says striped bell-bottom pants. Sarah, my hair parted down the middle. Thank you, Aaron, for the nice words. Andy says when I was born naked, that was embarrassing. Definitely the most embarrassing thing I've worn. Ridiculous. Hannah Montana. Sydney says, I don't know. I've always been super hip and cool. White jeans, parachute pants, bell bottoms. My nerd glasses. I would pop the lenses out of glasses and duct tape the middle. Nice. That reminds me of when you wore the work goggles.
Oh, the blue
Neon.
ray. Yeah.
Skinny jeans. Nice. My mom's pants. Yeah. All right.
I guess I did go. There was a point in time when I did go pretty skinny on the jeans. I got like what were they? It was like the Hot Topic, like most skinny. Like it was like called like super skinny. I did do those one time. Those are pretty tight. Now they were comfortable, but
Did you? Because I know this is
Oh,
a bit of
gotcha.
a
I know
thing.
what that is.
Did you get like a size below?
That's hipster
or did
stuff,
you get,
Luke.
Like, your size. That's
my size.
okay.
Yeah, my size. Went with my size. I couldn't get into it. If I tried to go any lower, it wouldn't have worked out.
All right.
He goes, okay. That was a good one. Good question. I liked it. That was fun. Well done. Good.
I've been told the camera is not centered, guys. And actually, as I'm looking at it, it does kind of look not centered. If you notice, your arm is cut off, and I have way a lot more space over here.
Yeah, I was trying to keep the TV in the middle, but that's my bad.
Anyway, Oh, this could be disastrous. What's about to happen? Anyway, guys, you have until pretty much 9 at this point to drop your answers in. We will
9
then
o'clock.
give you the responses somewhere between 9:15 and 9:30. I'm so sorry. Not COVID.
You know what's nice about these mics? Having these close to your face now is I noticed that when you take your face away from that, it makes
Hey,
it
Lynn.
so much quieter though. So it's nice
That's true.
compared to like a lapel mic. It's just always there, so you try to like get away. It's following you. It's with you.
Brandon, that's actually funny, Brandon. I was about to dive into our questions, and then we'll go on to get to know. Guys, if you have a question, you can drop it in the comments here, and or like people are right now, which is awesome. You can also do anonymous questions in the link. We check that throughout the show.
Yep.
But we've got a couple right here. Feel free to interact with these with us.
Yes.
First, Brandon says, "What's the best way to encourage each of you individually?" So, how do you get encouraged?
I'm
Be curious about the
definitely-
rest of you too. How do you get encouraged?
I would say I'm definitely a words of affirmation guy. I don't always take it the best. I mean, I'm always I'll say thank you. I've gotten used to that, but I used to be really awkward with compliments. But they really mean a lot to me. So definitely words of affirmation.
I don't know. This is hard for me, but because I can't pick like something in my mind necessarily, but if I had to say something, it'd probably be like being acknowledged. I don't know what that would be like, what that would look like. If that makes sense, but like.
So just like being like you're like being seen.
Sure. Yeah.
Nice.
That was just momentary. Nice
What
job.
was it like?
It went down. So you want to be being seen? Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Way to fix it on the go. All right. Yeah, I would say I like the idea of being seen too. Sometimes to me, being seen is also, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. Kind of being seen is being people seeing what you're doing. It's not about them giving you praise even sometimes, but about them knowing that they're trying or giving or assuming your motives are good. All those kinds of things. So I'm also a words guy. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We live in a world, I've said this many times, where think about this for yourselves. You're willing to tell someone when you're mad, some of you, but you're not willing to tell someone something good about them. It's like something weird about our culture.
It's true, man. I agree.
All right. We're getting some battles here. That's okay. Good to see you, Denise. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on. I'm excited.
All right, second question. What about you, Brandon? How do you get encouraged? Our next question, Lynn says, question, could a man that is fully into church date a woman that's not fully into it? She believes, but is not into it all.
I think that,
And I know Candace, they're having some conversations within it, so I like that.
yes, I think that, I'm glad because I was going to take it as not fully into it as like being like a Christian, but if they are a believer and they're just having trouble getting in the church, I think it's going to cause issues later on. I don't think it's going to like make any sort of friction immediately, but it's definitely something to tackle because Christians go to church. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I agree with AJ a lot. I think a large part of that is like if your significant other isn't in church, they're not going to know the importance of as many things, if that makes sense. So, like, if they're not in church, they're not going. Well, they can, but it's not as likely that they would know that like the woman is supposed to follow the man. Like that's not something that like you learn on your own, if that makes sense. It's like
It's not natural.
yeah, like people kind of just glaze over that bit when they read it themselves. They're just like, oh, that's whatever. And that tends to happen a lot if you don't have other people to help you learn about those things and explain it better.
Yeah, I like it. So this question's a little complicated only, and we have to define what you mean.
Yeah.
So if you mean someone is a believer in Jesus Christ, they put their faith in him, so two people that are, one is not, but is not necessarily, I don't know, kind of living it out or going to church or those kinds of things. So what do we mean by belief? Are they a follower of Jesus? Like they've put their faith in, both of them. But one's not going to church right now for various reasons. There's nothing biblically against that. But I like what you said, AJ, and something we say around here. So going to church doesn't make you a Christian, but a Christian that's following Jesus will go to church.
That's right.
And I say that as a guy who struggled to do that a long, long time. So that being said, it is possible. I was certainly a Christian when I wasn't in church.
Yeah.
What I would say is that it's going to cause issues, particularly if, let's say, the guy in this case is very passionate and is in church. So for me, for example, or you guys too, right? We would know that we couldn't be with someone that doesn't necessarily see the value in that. It's not about whether they could or not, but whether, and Luke said this, unequally yoked.
That's good.
Gotcha. So yes, believe in God. Yeah, Lynn, I love that you're so upfront about this. This can lead to a lot of things. So I'd have to unpack that. I think we talked about this with Lynn before. It's one of the things I like about her. She
I think we have. I
asks
remember.
questions,
Yeah.
but so I don't really necessarily want to unpack it all here because gay rights is we're about to get that live explicit content label again.
Yeah.
But we got to unpack what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they should be treated well? They should be treated with love, respect, that
Definitely.
we don't want to ostracize them, or what's the other word?
Condemn them?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the word where you, discriminate, those kinds of things.
No.
But are we saying that, at a certain time or place, you got to come down to whether or not it's a sin, whether the Bible views that as a sin,
Right.
and that's not that's not disputable. So it's what do you mean by that?
Yep.
Luke says, what's up, Marcus, if you're back again? Luke says, hey, guys, what about the judgment in the church on a recovering addict? I love it, man. People are into it.
Oh, yeah, I love this.
You
This
guys
is
are doing
awesome. These are good questions. I think when it comes to recovering addicts in a church, we're supposed to embrace them and love them through hard times. We've kind of had discussions similar to this before in the sense of, and I didn't grow up a Christian. I didn't grow up in church. The Remnant, where we, this church here, this is the first church I've ever really actually went to and committed to and have been in long term. So I don't really know a whole lot as far as, culture wise. I've been a believer long enough to understand what modern Christianity is like. And I would say that it seems to be that when someone first comes into a church and they are, say they are an addict and they want to get better, they tend to embrace that person and lift them up. But then as soon as they mess up again, that's when they either kick them out or they put them in a corner, and that's not right. We're called to radically love, and that's what I believe. That's as long as, I feel like a cornerstone in Christianity that we often forget, Church with a capital C is, it's not about the sin. It's about, what they do after it. What is the response to the sin? And that's why Jesus talks about forgiving 70 times 7. Because he was trying to get the point across that we always forgive. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Sorry for rambling. But.
No, man. Yeah. You got any thoughts? What do you guys think out there?
I think it's hard to because I know the Remnant, I would say we're pretty good about this. When somebody comes to our church, I feel like we're pretty good about loving people no matter their situation. We don't, the first question you get asked when you come in the door isn't hey, what's your biggest problem? Because we don't want you here if this is a problem or whatever. I think we're pretty good about just there's another person, let's love them. We don't look for those things. But I think the church with a capital C tends to see people if you imagine everybody with white clothes on, right?
Right.
The church with a capital C tends to try to look for the people that have all that grime on them.
Right.
And they go, well, don't come over here because you'll get your grime on me.
That's good.
The Pharisees type thing.
That's good.
So I think
Close that down.
that 100%, I don't think that's how things should be though.
Or does it? Will that close it for him?
I don't think so.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I like what you said. Listen, here's the reality. I was just talking to someone about this today. when it comes to the church, what we see in the Bible is the way church should be is a place where sin isn't glorified, but it's a place where we should have freedom to confess our sins because we want to overcome them. And the reality is, we say that all the time, right? But what happens is, I want you to think about the worst thing. If someone comes up to you in your church, let's say your pastor comes up to you and tells you that he struggled with, I am a drug addict and I don't want to be. Or maybe not a pastor. Let's say anyone in the church. We'll go to pastors later. The reality is, a lot of people immediately they can't serve anymore. They're told what they can't do anymore. That's the first thing it's said. You can't do this. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think what we need to do is create an environment where there may be consequences to sin. There always is. But that the primary reason is always to bring for restoration and for healing and for help. So addiction's no different. We should stand beside them, hold them accountable. And by that I mean be a place where they can actually talk about that and share those things. And understanding that failures or setbacks may happen in the road to recovery. Unfortunately, we don't always see that in the church today.
I agree, man.
Yeah, I think I really like it's something you've always used as an example. Like there's a like you've always said that like if we like our treasurer, if he were like we found out he was stealing, every week he's stealing money out of our treasury. Like once we find out, we're not gonna have that guy stay there, right? Like you're not gonna let him
be in the
steal that
treasury
money.
seat,
Handle
but
the
he
money,
would be there.
Exactly.
But you know what? It doesn't mean he could never do it again in the future.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have to create an environment. In fact, I was just read an article today, and I don't want to go into who it is.
Yeah.
It's a person, a famous Christian who I respect so dearly. He passed away this year. And now that he passed away, he changed. This guy impacted my faith, my life. Came out that there's some sexual misconduct things where they said he exposed himself in massage parlors and things. And I had this conversation. I don't even want to go into it. Immediately, we're like, oh, that makes you sad, and it makes you, it ruined. It's like, why? Even two of these three massage parlors said he was a good man. Weirdly enough, even though they came out and said this happened, but we believe he was a good man. He was just, they said battling the devil, right? Has his sins. And it's like, yes, that was wrong if he did it. We don't know, all these things, but can you imagine being in his position? What would have happened if he went and said, I'm having struggles with lust. I'm having struggles with anything. Immediately, it becomes public. We tell everyone. We do this when that's not even biblical, right? If your brother comes and says something to you, you don't have to make everything public immediately, assuming it doesn't break laws, those kinds of things. We just create this environment where, like, we say we want each other to share our burdens and our worries and our concerns and our struggles, but when we do, we're so quick to jump and punish them, and that's terrifying.
Yes.
And it should not be that way. Particularly if someone comes to you. If you come to me and confess something, why do I need to make you prove it anymore? You've already proven, like, I don't want to do this. You didn't have to do that.
Right. Yeah, I feel like vulnerability in the church, nowadays is viewed as weakness. It's viewed as, it's going to be, it includes punishment. I saw a really cool video the other day about vulnerability, and it said that the real goal of vulnerability should be respect and, what was it? It was respect and something else. Respect and connection. That's what vulnerability should actually, that should be the true product of it. Respect and connection, so we can have a closer bond, and in that bond we respect each other more, and then that's the closer we get, right? But instead, I think people view it as it's going to lead to punishment instead, and yeah, man, it's not right. It's really good, man.
Listen, Isaiah. Sorry if I said Luke. I'm Isaiah. Luke. Gosh darn it, Isaiah. I probably was me that said Luke. Isaiah. I think what you just said about fronts. That's so true, man. It's personally one of the reasons I believed in Jesus, but didn't go to church for a long time. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of churches out there that aren't doing that, and a lot of Christians out there that aren't doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Don't give up hope just because
good, man.
there are people out there that don't.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if we didn't miss it. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm
Uh,
trying to see.
Lynn said that she went to church, had the mean looks, and brought my daughter. She's a mixed child, a white mom with a child, half Mexican. Was hard to go back. Hey, my nephews are half black, half white.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. Sometimes stuff like that, I hear stories like that, and I can't even imagine that still happens because it doesn't even cross my mind.
Right. It's
So-
it's so weird.
Lindsay appears to be wanting to come early. Oh man, praying, Candace. That is crazy. It's exciting and crazy.
Oh, Brandon, I think Brandon had a little
Okay, what did he say?
add-on.
Go
Says,
ahead.
do you guys think people don't come to church because of how we treat them on Sundays or because of how we act Monday to Saturday?
I don't think it's always our fault. First of all, you got to remember that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't want to be held accountable, and they use that as an excuse.
That's
People
good.
don't like hearing that they're sinners, even though I'm a sinner, right? We're all are. So they want to say, well, it's Christians' fault. I'd change if it weren't for them. Well, at the end of the day, even if that's true, that's not going to hold up in front of God someday. I did it because your people stink. However, if you're talking about the people who do get hurt by church, I don't know, man. I think it's probably both. I think when they talk about hypocrisy, I think it tends to be, sometimes I think that's an excuse, but I think when people come on a Sunday, because that takes effort. When they come on a Sunday, when they've humbled themselves and they're scared and they feel like they're going to be judged, and then that becomes true, that's a deep wound, man. Right? Because you already feel like everybody sees your sins,
That's so
right?
true, man. I guess I think I forget about like the volume of that, like
Yeah.
how big of a wound that can be, you know.
Was to me
Because
growing up.
Because I guess for me, you know, since I didn't really grow up, I mean, I remember, you know, feeling like, you know, oh, like when I went to church probably, you know, less than 10 times before I came here, you know, my whole life. And even every time I was in there, it felt like weird. And I did feel like people looked at me funny. But, you know, to actually have that wound hit there, like it'd be hard to come back. So I get that. It'd be hard.
I saw a comment from Ashley, but like 20 people have already responded to her. So I think pretty cool.
Awesome.
Sounds like they've got that kind of handled. Ashley,
That's
are you
awesome.
from the area? Where
up,
are you
Brian?
from? No? California. Wow.
Holy cow.
That's a jaunt.
Yeah, it is.
Moving on.
All
We're
right.
going to go ahead and go. We got some live questions coming in. You want to put that first one up, the long one? So
It's a long one.
thanks so much for the good conversation, guys.
Absolutely. Super
Dive in a
cool.
few more, and then we'll get to know Grant. I'm sure he's excited. Grant, I came up with an idea to help you out, buddy. I
Awesome.
decided those aren't going to be on here, right? They'll be on
Yeah,
here,
it'll
though?
be just on the stream.
Is it prompt cards?
Kinda. I'm going to ask questions.
So I don't get to read something and tell people that's my life?
Is it up? Should I go? All right. The people in my family are Christians, and so am I. They tend to make decisions that go against the Bible, and I do not associate myself with those same things. How do I go about this in a non-judgmental way? They have told me that I make everyone feel bad, and I act like I'm better than them, when in reality I'm just trying to follow God the best way. How do I balance following God and being cautious that I'm being loving?
So, I mean, there's a lot here. So, they told me to make everyone feel bad. And act better. I think that a big part of Christianity is being confident in who you are in God, and sometimes people can take that the wrong way. I think that you have to do the best job you can of loving them, but not because sometimes people are going to look at the way you define love, which is hopefully it's real love, you know. And I think they're going to take that and they're going to try to make you feel like you're not being loving, and you have to be willing to, you know, put the line in the sand there and let them know that you're not changing that. That's who you are, you know. But as far as, you know, acting better than them, I don't know.
It
That's
sounds
hard.
like they're saying their family claims to be Christians. They're
Yeah.
Christians, but their family aren't necessarily living that way.
Right.
And they're doing things that they feel convicted that they shouldn't be doing, right? Whatever that is. And because this person isn't doing that, the family's saying, you're judging us, you're making us feel bad, you're
Right.
acting like you're better than us. And he or she, whoever's saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make him feel that way, but I also don't want to take part in what they're doing. So,
You've given this advice before, and it's always stuck with me, is meet them at a different table. And what I mean by that is, you know, don't partake in the things that are wrong, but, you know, if there's something that they do that is not wrong, you know, go with that. You know, meet them there.
Yeah. Candace said, is what they're doing sin or just conviction for you? I think either way, it's still a good, say it's a personal conviction, right? As long, and also that's a great question, Candace, because is it something that's very straightforward in the Bible
That's fair.
or something like, I don't ever drink alcohol
Yeah.
versus you do? But either way, I think the best way to approach it is, well, first off, if it's straight up sin, meaning the Bible says it, and they claim to be Christians, there's nothing wrong with you telling them
Yeah.
that's wrong.
That's
and then
good.
talking about it. They've said that. They've opened themselves up to that because they say they're Christians. But I heard a quote once from John Eldridge that I try to live my life by because this used to mess with me too. And it says, let the world feel the weight of who you are and let them deal with it.
That's so good, man.
Sometimes people don't want to, or people don't, they want us to dim ourselves to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to do that. It's not being judgmental to not do the same things, right? That someone else is doing.
It's similar to one of the first sermon quotes we ever put up by you is don't dim yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So how do you do it? I don't know, Grant, you have some thoughts on this actually. You kind of lived this.
Yeah, I was gonna
Except-
say this is kind of hard for me
That's true,
because
Luke.
like I'm not in this situation
They're
because
not
my
Christians.
family's not
Yeah.
Christian. So I was trying to think of it, and I feel like my answers would be different than what like if they're claiming to be Christians, like what you would do in that situation. Because I know personally, like I just had to completely take a step back from my family because like it's just not a healthy thing to be around. Like
Yeah.
if you're I don't know how to explain it, like because it's similar, but I feel like I can't give the same advice
Yeah.
because like you don't, if they're claiming to be Christians, I wouldn't say just like take a step back from your family. Maybe a small break might be like, you know, take like a week or whatever where you don't see your family, just kind of think
Amen,
through
Luke.
it, take some time, pray, like all that, but like
Yeah, I would say I kind of agree. Kaylee actually said that's my question. Kaylee, it's brave of you. You didn't have to do that, but I don't think that you have to. You need to follow God more than man. You know, and listen, the Bible says very clearly, and certainly it means as believers, but it also says, you know, I've come to. You think I came to bring peace? I've come to separate father from mother, father from son, mother from daughter. Sometimes that happens, and the truth is, they may be just feeling conviction by your example, and they don't like that. And you know, it's okay to when they tell you, "You're making me feel better than you're better," and just say, "Well, I don't think that at all." You know,
That's good.
and then don't enter into an argument. You don't need to. You've said it and let it sit at
Yeah.
that.
And don't feel bad. I guess that's another thing I would like to point out. Is like, don't feel bad for holding them accountable if they claim to be Christians. You know, nothing wrong with that at all.
But I get the feeling my family. I was more like yours though, where they were not believers. But good stuff. People are
Nice.
bringing. We're losing viewers. Come on, guys.
Hey, share the stream.
Share
invite
it.
your friends.
What's our share
Let's have
count?
a party. Ooh, yeah. I'm intrigued.
We got 28 shares.
28 guys. We need 2 more. If you're watching and you haven't shared this, would you take a second and do that, because 30 is a lot. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. Okay, the next question. You got it? All right, this one's and Kaylee, if we didn't answer that, we can keep talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next one is just the married one. Are any of you married? I've never heard mention of wives. If not, why?
I am not married. No. I'm currently in a relationship. And why? Well, I'm working towards it. Yeah, I don't really.
The thing is, I even thought, I was like, do we want to talk about this? Because we get asked this a lot. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Grant?
I'm definitely not.
Why you had to say it like that? But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not just out of a relationship actually. And I think it's a bit too early for me with my goals in life, so.
Yeah.
No, I'm not married. Yes, relationship, in a relationship. Why am I not married? Two-part. Part is my own stuff that I think for a long time. You want to talk about being real? I came, man, I don't like blaming it. You know me. It's hard to give reasons and not blame.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think part of my story, this probably isn't the best forum. I had to work through a lot of stuff. I came from I hesitate to say certain things, but a home that was kind of broken in some ways, and I didn't realize until later in life how much that affected me.
Yeah.
And what I should have probably done was not be in any relationships at all while I was
In that.
while I was being healed in that.
yeah.
But and I've talked to the guys about this.
Yeah.
Don't make my mistakes. So some of it's that, and some of it's setbacks that I had. I take marriage very, very seriously, and I plan on, Lord willing, from my end, only being married once.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I could go more into detail. I'm not necessarily afraid to talk about it, but I think that keeps it pretty general. Some of it is sinful mistakes on my part in the past, and not processing things and dealing with issues that I had till it was later on in life, and goals, and not realizing that doing what Grant's doing and being wise enough to, it wasn't even necessarily fear, Candace. Some of it may have been, but back then, but just, I think I was selfish too. I think that I wanted my cake and eat it too. I wanted to get my goals, but also have that relationship, which is super selfish. And I'm not even talking about the relationship I'm in now, though. But others, I hurt people. I hurt girls because of that. I'll confess that right now. I hurt girls because of my own selfishness, and it took me, a long time to recognize that. I think.
Yeah.
Because I also grew up in a family where that wasn't. I became a believer, but that was never modeled for me.
Yeah.
So I think I've shared that with you guys. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, I think
Appreciate you sharing too.
there's also like a weird pressure to get married too, like at a young age. I feel like that's unnecessary. Like I think we've talked about this outside of that, but like I think there's just like I've come to a point where it almost feels weird that I'm not married because I'm a certain age type thing. Like I don't even think I'm there yet. Like, but like I feel like there's just like a strange pressure that like you get to a certain age and people like you get like past 18, honestly, and like there's
Last year that was tough for me.
there's like a pressure to where it starts to be like people are like, well, you got to get in a relationship, you got to start looking for a wife, you got to get married.
Yeah,
like, and
18's
it's
a
like
weird age in today's society. It's like when it just can dive in and within
Marriage is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, it's
Beautiful thing.
all right.
Absolutely, Candace. You said it. You will be invited.
She says I'll be there. Nice. Cool. Greg says, "Don't be in no hurry, Grant." That's one thing. That's another thing about marriage. It seems like a lot of people, especially like people who may not. I didn't know these people if they were believers or not, but it seemed like advice that I always got from older guys, whether that was at like a different job or something back in the day when I was younger, around your age more. They were like, "Don't get married." Like it was so weird. That's another weird thing about society.
Yeah. Got a couple
random little
questions.
shit there.
No, yeah, I was thinking. Sorry, I got a couple questions. One thing, guys, we don't endorse anyone that gets on here and asks for help if we don't know them personally. So use your own discretion and wisdom in that. If someone gets on here and asks for help, I love the hearts of people, and I would hate to say that there's people. I'm not saying that's the case here, but there are people that would take advantage of that. So I encourage you, if someone gets on this stream and asks for help or asks you to send money or whatever, use your own discretion and wisdom.
Yeah.
And don't take there are people we do know, but the people we do know, I don't believe would do that because they know us.
Right.
So please be wise in that.
Yeah. Good advice.
Yeah. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm arranging Cole's marriage. I'd like to be there too. He isn't even dating. That's funny. Lou says you like to be there too. You got it. Brandon says, who's the greatest tag team in WWE history? Includes best in ring, most charisma, best title reigns, most entertaining.
Easily the Dudley Boys. Dudley Boys by far.
I don't really know, man. Honestly, I'm trying to think through. I've never been a big tag guy.
Yeah.
I could go way old school.
Yeah.
Who What was Shawn Michaels' tag? Or who are they? The Rock? They weren't
The
the Rock and Roll.
Rockers.
They weren't
Marty
the Rock-
Jannetty?
Yeah, were they just the Rockers? Remember the Rock and Roll Express, which was
Yes.
similar?
Yeah, those are.
Old.
Yeah, I can't think of their names right now.
That guy
I know
looks
what you're talking
decrepit now. He's
I know. They
still
still
wrestling.
wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put the New Day in there. Sorry. Not doing it. Hey, Allie. Good to see you again.
Yep, I would definitely say Dudley Boys.
What do
Those
you
guys-
think, Brandon?
Those guys almost
Grant,
want
you got
to
anything?
combine 20 titles together across everything. I mean, it's they got a heck of a resume. Sorry, go ahead.
I really am not
Legion
a
of
terribly
Doom.
big
Nice.
fan of them.
I like it.
But I'd honestly say Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era industry. That's interesting because they're relatively newer. I like it. But yeah, they are definitely dominant.
I think they're just like they just work really well together.
Who?
And
He said Undisputed Era.
like they work really well together. They have like a DX vibe kind of thing going on,
They
which
do.
I like. And they're good separate from each other. Like a lot of tag teams, like when you pull them apart, like they all just fall apart. You know, like take the New Day for example. Any one of them that's like got a shot on their own type of thing, they like fall apart, and it's not
That's
really that impressive.
Everybody else is like, who are these guys talking about? Brandon says, I picked the Hardys. Success as a team in singles is unmatched.
That I will give you that, Brandon. That is fair. I'd say the Hardys are second as far as a tag team.
You ready to drop us this next question, my friend?
Let's get it.
This one is a little, this one's one of those ones that I wish we had a little more info.
Mm-hmm.
It says, being sexually abused and not reporting, would that not be okay? Do things like that have to be reported? If you're talking about in general, I certainly, I don't know how to answer this question without detail. So if
Yeah.
you're saying, if we knew someone was being sexually abused, would we report it? Yes.
Absolutely, I would report it.
Yes. If you're saying something happened to me personally,
Mm-hmm.
and that you've used the word abuse, should you tell someone? Yes, probably.
I would definitely agree with that.
But again, this is one of those things. I don't mind these kinds of questions, guys, but you got to be really. You have to give us some more details.
Yeah, a little more direction.
Because I feel like it could be twisted and turned around or used to justify a lot of different things. So in general, yeah.
My thought would be is more like the first one, but it's like if I were to tell you, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, but don't tell anybody.
Like
that
it
type of
happened to you?
Yeah, like it happened to me, but don't tell anybody about it.
Are you an
So, like,
adult or underage?
I don't know.
If
But
you're
like
underage,
it
you
leaves
gotta
you in a
go.
weird position
Yeah.
either way, right?
Legal, I'm gonna report it. I mean,
Yeah,
legally you
legally,
have to,
yeah.
if it's particularly if it's underage. That's why the word sexually abused here is difficult because we don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if you've asked this question, I think it's really brave of you to ask, but we need some more details before we can really tell you anything.
good.
But that does lead to our second question, which I think gives a little more details, or the
Okay.
next one. It says, and this one's kind of hitting close to home here. It says, I'm a member of the church.
Okay.
And I have personally been sexually abused. And if someone reminds you of that person, meaning the person who sexually abused them,
Okay.
but isn't that person, so they just have maybe they look alike or whatever,
Okay.
would it be good to talk to that person, or what would you do if you get really bad flashbacks and anxiety and that person scares you being around them and they go to the church? How do you process that?
Man, that's tough. So I think that you got to try to do your best to come to a place and realize that's not who they are. You know, one thing that's helped me a lot in life, and this is just in general, you know, especially with empathizing with situations and empathizing with people, is to put myself in their shoes. So, say you looked like somebody,
Who abused you?
yes, who abused somebody, and they struggle with that. How would that make you feel? Would it make you feel like, you know, like an outcast, like you're just being ousted because you look like somebody? Like, that's kind of how I look at it. You know, put yourself in that situation of the person who maybe you're scared of because of something that happened to you in your past, you know, and maybe that'll help you empathize and even be able to get past that situation of being able to socialize with that person despite those reminders. So that's what I got.
Yeah. Tough one there, huh?
Yeah, I'd say that's really good. Like, I would also say like, I don't know if you do know them well or not, but like I would
That's
say
true,
try
too.
to get to know them, like because I feel like that could help. Like I
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
good,
personally
actually.
know, but like if you get to know that person, it could help you realize like, hey, this isn't the same person. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I definitely think that you said talk to them. You definitely should talk to someone, whether it's your pastor or whether it's an account, men's group, women's group, someone you're close with, to just let them know, man, I'm struggling with this. When I see Bob, who I know is a good person, has done nothing wrong, but it makes me anxious.
Yep.
I don't want to handle that. If you do know the person well, maybe your friends, or it might be, they probably sense that you're weird around them, so it might
That's
be to
fair.
say, I know that. What I love about this question is very real. It's a real life thing.
Yes.
I know that would be uncomfortable, but you've already said, I know it's not them. It just gives me anxiety. It might be okay to say, hey, Bob, like,
This is what's going
this is
on.
not your fault. I had this terrible thing happen to me as a child, and you look like them, sound like them, whatever. And I sometimes get flashbacks, and I just want you to know it's not you personally, or
I like
when
that.
you do this.
Just go into them and being real
But I
about it.
also can understand a situation where you may not know that person real well, and I don't think you have to tell them, right? But I definitely think you should let someone carry that burden with you. So if
Right.
that were to happen, that were me, and it was someone in the church, I would go to you guys and be like, man, when I talk to Bob or whoever, like, it just makes me feel so uncomfortable, and I
Right.
know. So I'm really sorry you're going through that. But I think AJ said the same thing. No matter how much they remind you of the person, that's not them. That's not that person. And on the other side, don't let someone who hurt you in the past damage your relationships in the future.
That's good.
That becomes a lot harder to do. I mean, it's easy to say, harder to do.
Yeah.
Brandon says, AJ, have you read Revelation? What did you think of it?
I have read Revelation. Funny enough, it was actually one of the first full books I ever read, just because I was curious. It was confusing, especially then. I haven't read it since, so and that was a long time ago. That was at least a year ago, probably longer. I think that it's a book that for some it's scary, but for others it's celebratory. It's a time that comes when we get to go home. And I think it's revealing in the sense of, you get to see what's going to come of us, what's going to come of the world. And, as a believer, kind of like what I said, it's surreal to think that there will be a time when there is no more tears, there is no more sadness. And that's something that we can look forward to. So, but as far as trying to dig deep into the details of what certain things are, that's a lot. That's hard to comprehend. So
That's good.
yeah.
Hey guys, keep asking questions. You can ask them if we've answered a question that you've asked and it was not fully answered, or maybe you have a follow-up question, like for instance the last one. Go ahead and drop that in, because we'll continue to check that.
Yes.
I do want to go ahead and announce our winners. You'll have 3 minutes to claim your prize, or I move on to the next person. Amen, Luke.
Absolutely, Luke. Yes.
It's only scary if you're not in Christ, as I don't know who is a Christian rapper said. Revelations. Tadashi. Revelation's scary. Only scary if you're not in Christ. Scares me anyway, and I am in Christ. So. Better hope for that pre-trib, son. Hey, Luke, how did you? Oh, there you go. Amen, Isaiah. How do you know Chad? I didn't really ask that. I know you're in Fight Club, so are you from Goshen? Did you go to Goshen? Do you guys go to a church together? Just curious. So keep asking those questions, guys, but we're going to announce the winner.
Awesome.
The winner is. Just sitting here. That's hilarious. I'm going to do 2 winners today because I said double. I said
Nice.
double.
Yep.
Number 1, Isaac Bennett.
Isaac
Bennett, you don't cheat. Jordan's not even on here anymore, so it don't matter. But don't cheat. You have until 9:40 to claim your prize. The other one, and I know
9:40.
I've said his name a lot, but ironically it's here, number 2. You see that. Who's the number 2 name on there?
I see it.
Luke.
Luke Neer. You have until 9:40, brother, to claim your prize. Either say I'm here or whatever.
That's right.
If either one of those don't answer, we move on to the next winner.
Yes. Double prize Thursday extravaganza.
Double Ganza.
Double game.
I just made it up. Anyway,
Ganza.
we're going to move on to our next segment called Get to Know. What's Get to Know? Jordan. Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
So, Luke, do you go to Winona Lake, Grace Brethren, or you just got connected to Fight Club through there? Because I know some of our guys went to, actually, Goshen, to Grace
our neck of the woods?
Grace Community, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, you and me, the 574.
That's right. Used to jump off a bridge in Winona Lake.
Did you really?
Used to go bridge jumping. Yeah, it was fun.
I wonder, you never said hi when I was at Grace.
Before or after car tag?
After.
Isaac says, hey. Luke says, hey. You both win.
Yeah.
So, Isaac, we can get yours. Luke, we're going to need your, we'll have someone get a hold of you here soon. It'll either be Fun Turn Clint. His name will be Clint. We need to figure out a better way to do that. Or maybe we need to make you guys, I keep forgetting, moderators so you can send it from the church. But we need to get your email, not your email, I'm sorry, your address, and we'll send that to you. We're not going to spam you or anything. We just want to send you your gift, man. So thank you for joining us. You brought a lot to it. Isaiah, all you guys. Isaac, as usual, brother, we love you, man. Appreciate your connection. All that stuff.
I think he should just make a Facebook account that's named Fun Turn Clint,
Don't
so that
give him
people
Just a
know
Facebook page.
that that's him.
Yeah.
Just another thing for me to have.
Yeah.
Who said I never said hi? Isaac? Joseph just want to say he loves you. Hey, I love you too, Joseph.
Love you,
Merry
Joseph.
Christmas, brother. All right. So get to know. It's a chance to get to know the stories of other people.
That's right.
So, Grant, as much as you love talking about yourself,
Oh yeah.
and man, do you.
Oh yeah.
So, guys, here's the thing about Grant. I don't know how much to say, actually. You know what? If we're going to do this, let's do it for real. So, Grant's story is kind of interesting as far as how he got here, and I'll let him talk a little more about this. Grant is literally like family to me, even more so. Grant has lived with me now for, 4 years?
Something like that.
4
3
years?
or 4, I think.
3 or
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
Man, it seems like
Three-ish.
it's 3. Seems like 5.
Right.
So 3 years. I don't know how much this. I'll let you tell. So it's a long story, but Grant, you moved in. What were you? 16, 15, 16?
17.
You're 17. I don't know anything.
That's when I moved in.
Oh,
I definitely lived with you for far longer than that.
yeah. So, kind of a long story how that happened, and he can touch base on some of that. But been a wild ride since then.
Yeah.
And now you are how old?
20. I think.
Thanks a lot, Isaiah. Appreciate you being on, brother. Hey, keep fighting the
have a good
good
night.
fight, man. You're not alone. You can beat this, and I'm telling you, there's churches out there that'll walk with you. I promise.
Amen.
Sorry. How old are you now?
20.
20. A year younger than me. I'm just kidding. So 20 years old, and the thing about Grant is he is not much of a talker, and that's why we were like, we had to get a hold of him. Like, dude, do you feel comfortable doing this? The thing about him is, and everyone in this room could attest to this, when he does talk, it's good stuff, and he can have
Absolutely.
great conversation.
Yes, you can.
So I don't want to fill everything in, Grant. You don't have to tell anything of your whole story, but you want to kind of maybe explain at least. You guys heard himself say his family's not Christians. Are any of your family members Christians? None
I
of your
don't
immediate
believe so,
family,
no.
right? And when we say that, we're talking not just not Christian, right? We're talking hostile
Hostile
to Christianity.
Hostile to the gospel.
Nice.
That I suppose I should correct that a little bit though, because my dad's side of the family does claim
Sure.
to be Christians.
And you don't have much contact with them, though.
No.
Yeah. So, but your immediate family that you kind of grew up with for the most part, they're also hostile, right?
Yeah.
Hostile to. Well, Candace is cutting to the chase. What's your testimony? There we go. Thanks, Candace. That really cut through a lot of stuff. Tell us, man. Phil, whatever you want to tell us, and we can ask questions as we go.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a good idea to start with, you don't have to tell the circumstances, but your dad, maybe. If you feel comfortable, or you're not feel comfortable getting into that.
So to start off, I've grown up in the church. Like I've always been in the church since I was little. Around what was it, like when I was like 7 years old, I think. My dad left. It wasn't really clear at that point why. It was like I think he said something along the lines of like, I'm gonna go stay at my parents' house for a while.
Mabel.
Like that, him and my mom were having some issues.
Yeah.
So I was upset, but I was like, oh, he'll be back. It's fine. Fast forward, I don't know, half a year. My parents were getting a divorce at that point, and some of the details were starting to come out, and I was learning more. I think the whole divorce process took almost 4 years between the two of them. It was really big mess, lots of stuff going on. but eventually, I don't know the exact time that I found this out, but eventually I found out that my mom and my dad split because apparently my dad had been molesting both of my sisters.
Mhm.
And apparently my older sister had been like trying to get my mom to believe her for quite some time. Like this had been happening for a while. And after a while, when my younger sister eventually said something, that's when she was like, "Oh, this is too much." And then she, in her own words, kicked him out of the house.
Yeah.
And then from there, they got a divorce, and we moved houses 2011, I think. I think we bought a house late 2010, and the house that we bought, there's a guy, a local here in town that had like a tattoo shop. I don't really know a lot about it, but he had like a tattoo shop, and he tattooed down there, and he drank alcohol all the time, like never left his house, like. So the place was completely trashed because he'd throw parties there. It was complete mess. There was mold all over the place. The house flooded all the time. So we had to do some renovations, like when we moved in. And throughout all of this, my mom just recently gotten an actual job. Throughout most of this, she was just getting help from the government and getting stuff from my father, like what's the word? The child
support.
Child support. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how we were living. So we probably had maybe $1,000 a month, like for my mom and was it 5 kids?
Yeah.
And then at some point, my older sister, she had kids of her own and moved in with us during all of this too.
Oh wow.
So there were 9 or 10 of us living in that house, like off of probably $2,000, and all the while we were trying to renovate everything. Like,
Yeah.
and when we first moved into that house, like we had all of our stuff that we had packed up and brought over, and like the first month that we had moved in there, it rained really, really bad, and the entire basement flooded. It was like 3 inches of water, and everything was ruined. Like all of our stuff that we'd had, it was completely ruined. So we had to go through buying new stuff. But eventually we kind of got the place around to where it was more livable.
Yeah.
It's a nice house now. I'm not a terribly big fan of it, but
So for you, real sorry to interrupt because I want to give people to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Candace, he was more saying that they just didn't have income.
Yeah.
So because of that reason, because she was having to take care of all those kids, so she couldn't do a job, so they were trying to get by. Wasn't saying that she should have. So Grant, I want to kind of bring it back to that's the situation, right? And that's tough, the chaos and you grew up in church, and it sounds like I know your story. Mainly, your parents were very religious growing up.
yeah.
You did not celebrate Christmas. You did not.
No holidays.
No holidays. You didn't watch TV, right? You didn't do. I mean, there were a lot of things you weren't allowed to do. My point is because it was, we're Christians
Very
and
strict.
yeah. So that being said, then you go to this situation where when your dad leaves, where did your family go from there as far as faith?
We still kept going to a church for a while. Should I say the name or no?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we continued to go to a church for a while. I was still younger at that point, so I just hung out with the kids. I didn't know what was going on with the adults.
Sure.
So I was still having a great time. I didn't think anything was wrong. But apparently my mom was getting a lot of flack for the divorce and it getting built up. So we ended up leaving that church.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is all stuff that I was told, so I don't directly
Sure.
know.
This was the story you were told.
Yeah. And so we tried a couple different churches, and the same thing continued to happen where she would get a lot of flack for the divorce.
And this ended up for your mom turning to anger
yeah.
and turning to a complete rejection of faith.
Yeah.
And not just a rejection, but a
Hatred.
hatred.
Yeah. And I think I don't even know if I told you this, but there was it was probably a year and a half where she stayed at home. Like she wouldn't go to church, but she would consistently read the Bible. Like every morning and every night she would read the Bible. So I think a lot of the questions people tend to ask on here, like, hey, can I, not go to church and still be a Christian? Like I think she was kind of in that spot too, where she was like, well, I don't have to go to church to be a Christian. But eventually it was just too much weight to where she was like, well, God's not even answering. Like,
It's a powerful statement. man.
and I think a lot of what fed into that for her was not only the divorce stuff, but she had, I think, 5 miscarriages throughout this entire time. And
Wow.
one was like right before they got a divorce as well.
What's up,
So
Zach?
I think a lot of her turning away was like she was
Pain.
like, well, yeah, like I think it was almost a Job situation, but she just didn't stick it out, like
So, Grant, because I want to get to you, okay? Because I think that, and your situation is tough, and your family's, he's not talking poorly about his family, just giving you the facts.
yeah.
And you still interact with your family, have a relationship with them the best you can. But the fact is, your entire family, long story short, they began to, it turned to not just an apathy for Christianity, but a hatred specifically. You and your brother, who I knew as well, started going. You went to another church. You ended up coming to our church. That all doesn't really matter. Your brother ended up leaving as well, and now he's pretty hostile to the church, to Christianity. We can get to that in a second. But what I want to focus on, Grant, is for you. Why were you different? What was the difference for you? Because it appears that when this entire time, you still believed in Jesus, right? What was that like? Why? And then also, what was it like to have everybody around you hating it?
I don't know. The why it's a mixture of things. I think part of it was like I think part of it was that I had just been taught so much that was the correct path, that I still had that. Like I was like that, well, even if they're going away from that, like I know that this is the correct path. And I definitely think God was with me through a lot of it. And a lot of the stuff that happened before, like I had seen and done crazy stuff, so I knew that something was
Real.
yeah, like it wasn't like just happening for the sake of happening. So I think I kind of like I knew that it was real, like whether or not somebody said it was, like I knew that it was real. And as for like being around my family at the same time with that, honestly, I kind of hid it because like my mom at multiple times would like get angry when I had a Bible. Like if I would go sit in the living room and like read my Bible, she was like, well, you need to read a different book. And I was like,
Yeah, I want you guys to take a second that are watching this and think about, okay, we got a guy here in America, in small town Indiana, and some of, this is something that gets me fired up sometimes because I think people don't live in this reality. Oh, yeah, that happens in China, right? It happens here too, man.
Yeah.
Little things like that. So put yourself in that situation. Those of you who, you don't even want to read your Bible. And you're in a situation where you're a kid trying to read it and you're being told, don't read that. That's tough. So you had to hide it. That makes sense. Now, during this time too, and this is a touchy subject because I'm going to take over this part because I don't want you to have to say it. So when I don't have a real good relationship with your mother either. Because I am a Christian and a pastor, reality, right?
Right.
And at first it wasn't a big issue, and then it kind of we've had barely an interaction, honestly. So I know that it's more than me personally. It has to do with what I symbolize.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think is neat about your mom, I don't know if I've even told you this, is she lets you come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was underage. He lived with me for a reason. She allowed that. And it was an odd situation. Okay. It was just a weird situation to be in for me too, because I didn't really have any legal rights while you're underage.
Treading new ground for sure.
Yeah. But we kind of worked together in a weird way. But part of the reason that I allowed that, or we let that happen, was, you know, this guy wasn't eating even. He wasn't eating regularly. You know, school wasn't a big priority at the time. He was, honestly, in my opinion, man, I've never told you this. I wish if we really wanted to show a story, show the pre-picture. I have a picture when he first came till now. Just in a weird situation. Good kid. Kept coming to church even after his brother left.
Yeah.
He was a kid that just hid in the corner and angry looking. In fact, he flat out told me that he was mad that I kept trying to talk to him. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
So it's an irony here. But, so you move in, the only reason I bring that part up is I want to get people to that part. So he's lived with us, and over the years, we've really wrestled with a lot of this stuff, right? With a lot of the stuff that you're a believer, and we say this all the time, we kind of joke in the Remnant House stuff, that Grant's like the best of us, right? Loves Jesus. Just because he looks angry and doesn't talk about it doesn't mean it isn't true, right?
Yeah.
And very proud of you. Part of that, though, is too, there's a lot of challenges to that. What has been for you the most challenging part about that, moving from that, where you grew up in that life, to the life that you're in now, relationally, emotionally, all those kinds of things? Or like maybe habits that you had to get over because you had to learn to survive, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I think the main thing that comes to mind is like, the guys here force me to do stuff, and it's not like, it's not in a bad way. It's like when I was there, I literally didn't have to do anything unless I wanted to, like, because my mom got very depressed, like, for a lot of that. So like,
It's a lot of weight for her to have to carry.
yeah. So like, if I didn't want to do something, like, I could just, you know, get a little upset, yell at her, and it was done. Like, you know, at that point, it was like a cracked egg. Like, all I had to do was press on that a little bit, and it cracked the whole thing. And like, at that point, I knew how to do it. Like, so I think a lot of it is like having to learn how to do things correctly, and like actually having to do them, because like I said, I didn't have to do stuff if I didn't want to. Like, if something felt too hard, I'd just be like, well, I don't want to do that. You know, I'll do it some other time, whatever. Like, so I think that's been a very big part, like, doing things. I've been homeschooled my entire life, so communication has never been like my strong suit. And on top of that, I've always been a quiet person to begin with. I think that's kind of weird, because I think the quietness wasn't necessarily like, I don't know how to say it, but like, I think I got it from my grandpa more than anything, because I think I used to be kind of like a loud, wild child. But I got to a point where I started like idolizing my grandpa, and he never talked, like, ever. So I was like, I gotta be like my grandpa, so I'm just not gonna talk about anything. So that, and it kind of goes back to the same thing. Like, I didn't have to do stuff, so if I don't want to talk about something, I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I think I got a lot of scars, like emotional scars, from counseling, actually, because I think we were forced to go to the Bowen Center, like court ordered to go to the Bowen Center to try to figure out some of the stuff with my dad.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of my like fear of opening up to people comes from that because I didn't want to be there in the first place. Because I think I knew that there was a wound there that I didn't want to open. So I all out avoided that, and then it kind of came to a spot where like it wasn't just the counselors that I didn't want to talk to anymore. Like it was everybody because my brain started going, well, they're probably trying to, get at that too, and I don't want that open.
Why not? Looking back in hindsight, why didn't you want that open?
Because it hurt.
Yeah.
I never really dealt with a lot of that stuff, like the miscarriages, a lot of that stuff I didn't really deal with because it hurt, and I didn't like being hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Grant, if you were to say, when you look at God in your life, right, and I don't want to push in. There's some other things I'll ask, but overall for your faith, man, what would you say to people out there? What would you say to people that, I don't know, about Jesus, about God in your life, what He's done? What's your testimony? And what how? Tell them.
I think,
yes,
like looking at God throughout my life, it makes me think of something I told you, like at the very start of like COVID and all that, the quarantine. I had a image pop into my mind almost. I was listening to Casting Crowns, Praise You in the Storm. And I had this image of the world freaking out about COVID and the rioting and all this stuff. And I was just standing in the middle of this storm. It was everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's madness and a storm. And I was sitting in the middle of all of it. And none of it touched me. It didn't affect me in any way. And I knew that was because of God. Like it wasn't anything I was doing. It was like God had His hand there the entire time. It was like this is my son. You can't all that around you, that doesn't matter.
It's good, man. That's powerful. There's a lot more we could push into. I think you've shared quite a bit, but I think one of the things that's really cool, Grant, is I think that's what makes your story so inspiring. You still have to go to these family things sometimes, and you love Jesus, and you get mocked for it. You get mocked for not doing the things they do. You get mocked for doing some of the things you do, right? You get mocked for wanting to, I guess, to wrap that up. What do you do in those moments? What's that? What do you think and feel in those moments when it feels like, gosh darn it, the people that I don't know, you're the closest to, love you the most in a way in your mind, right? This is my blood. I'm separated from them, right? You're separated from them to a degree.
I don't know. It's a mix of like confusion and pain still. Like even though it's been 3-4 years. Yeah. It's still like, because I know that they all knew better and that they do know better, but still go out of their way to avoid that. Yeah. So, and it sucks because like I use Pilgrim's Progress for a lot of stuff, but like I feel like I know we all started off on that narrow path together, and now they're turning off to go to one of the towns. Yeah. And I want to try to like force them to come back to the path, but like I know that's not going to work. Like there's like I can tell them to come back to the path as much as I want, but without God, like I can never get them back to the path. And it's not going to help them if I follow them to that town either.
That's good, man.
But the best thing I can do for them is continue down the path.
Just to give you some encouragement, Regina says, thank you, Grant, for being so real and open to us. I can relate with a small part of what you're saying. Your testimony is inspiring. Brandon says, just now I can call you Kenneth the Menace when playing sports. And he says, upset with myself for the years wasted. And then Mandy just said, thanks for being so real and sharing with us, granteth. Yeah, man, I don't know. If you guys have any questions, you can slide them here at the end. But I think, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff for me here, too. I think I could speak in the transformation in Grant
Oh, absolutely.
of what happens when, I don't know. It's not us, right? But to whether he'll admit this or not, I don't know, man. If you could see the old you, right?
Yep.
And to see someone in their hurt, even when they're hard and when they tell you they hate you and don't want you to talk to them, and you keep talking to them and you invest in people and you love people, and he's done it for me, right? Like I trust him, and I don't trust anyone either, which I'm talking about my story sometime too, but it just really, it's powerful. It's a powerful testimony. There's a lot more to that I know he's having to protect people, and you don't want to go into a lot of stuff, but this guy's done a lot of crazy things, man. At 20, how old are you now? 21, right? 20, that's right. Duh. I think. Well, that's a concern. 20 years old to have to go through a lot of the things he's had to go through, and to still say I'm for Jesus is pretty remarkable. And you're a testimony to a lot of people, dude. I know you're a testimony to us. We talk about it.
Yes.
You're a testimony to a lot of people in our church. So, a lot of stuff here. Luke says, what's God doing in your life right now? Where's he leading you? I think he's asking you, Grant, or are you asking us? But I think he's asking Grant.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess it's a question.
Candace says, wow, we have some of the same wounds. I don't trust people either. Mandy says, Grant, you've grown and changed so much. I mean, you actually say real words to me now, though. For real, though, you've become such a good man. Brandon says, super crazy to say this stuff, man. A lot of people don't even say the real stuff behind closed doors. So a lot of good stuff. Keep going.
For the question, I don't know. I think I'm kind of in the middle of trying to figure out where that is, because I have moments where I'm like, oh, well, I know what that is. And so I kind of start rabbit trailing off on my own. And because I know what I want, and I think I've talked to you about it before. I don't really know, but I know I want to go to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's what I personally want, and I think God can still use me in the NFL.
Sure.
Right? And I'm still pursuing that, but I have moments where I don't know if that's what's there for me, if that makes sense.
Like you doubt it.
Yeah. And it's not even because I have my own doubts, oh, well, I could never play in the NFL.
Sure.
Those guys are on TV and do crazy stuff, right? But I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird in-between place where I don't want to waste years of my life in football if that's not where I should be. I can't think of the guy's name. He was a corner for, I think, Clemson back in the day.
I know what you're talking about.
He got a really bad...
Inky.
Yep. Inky Johnson. That's his name. He got a career-ending neck injury, right the last game he played. His entire right arm, I think, is just no feeling, can't move it, anything. And he said that that's what it took. He said he's happier now. He's glad that happened, because otherwise he never would have went down the path God wanted for him. And I think a little bit of it is fear. I'm well, I don't want to lose feeling in my arms to know that I shouldn't have been playing football. Yeah. But at the same time, there's a small part of me that's as a kid, I always felt that I was meant for more.
Mm-hmm.
I told people when I was probably 5 or 6, I was I'm going to be a missionary. I'm going to go to other countries and I'm going to help people. And I think there's still a part of me that's stuck with that. So I don't know.
I think sometimes, man, and I've told you this. Sometimes it's, the journey. The journey, man, it can teach you a lot. So whether or not you make the NFL or not, the journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It matters. And I think, your stories, I don't know, I think it's exciting. And
and it's still being written.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
And I think you don't have to pick one way, life is, you can do a lot of different things. So, Kelsey says, amen. One of my big concerns as well. Like, I will praise God and love God enough for the both of us. Wow. Definitely needed this real talk tonight and that testimony. Greg says, Grant, love you, brother. Abundant blessings to you. Good stuff, man. So if you get a chance to talk to Grant, whether you're in this church or not, great guy. A lot more to his story. I don't know. He's a wild man. It's hard to put in words. So hard. He is not a talker. So for him to share all this is pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome. Very proud of him.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah. I think you got anything?
Is this closing? I'm closing.
Close. I think we got 2 questions. I'll try to slide in real quick. But
Okay. Well, love you, Grant. Super proud of you, dude. I think it's super cool to come on here. You know, that to me, that's just a testimony of how God moves, you know, in all of us. Because I know, like Todd said, there was a point in time where you wouldn't speak at all. So, you know, how cool is that God was able to use you in the fact, you know, just bringing you on in front of a camera and telling people, and you know, you can encourage people through that. So he's using you, man. It's pretty cool. So be encouraged.
yeah. Grant, you have anything? Hey, Sydney.
The main thing I would say is just like people out there that do watch this or whatever, like, I think using my example of like being in that storm, I think it's very difficult to see the center of that storm, but whether or not you see it, God still has control of that and still has
You son of a
his
gun.
hand over you. Like, just because the storm looks up close here doesn't mean that it's actually affecting you. And sometimes it takes a step back to the middle of the circle to realize that, that's not what's around you.
It's good, man.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you, Grant. I love you, man. I know you know that, but I love you and I'm proud of you. Well, you probably don't believe it, but it's true. Everyone else out there, thank you so much. If you didn't get your question answered today, we will answer that on our web series episode this coming Tuesday. It'll be episode 95. What's that, Todd? At the top of this page, you will see a video pinned. It's got an episode and a number, and it's just Real Talk web series. And here's the thing. That web series, we go a little deeper, and it's primarily questions. It's got a different feel, and we will add these to that topic. It's also going to be our conspiracy episode that we did not come back with. So, hey, if you guys have enjoyed this, but you're like, man, I enjoy the question portion more or whatever else, go check that out. Please, at the top of this, give us a watch. You can also listen to it on podcast anytime, but we'll answer your questions. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
Candace says, take your focus off the storm and place it on God. Amen. Grant, tell Todd you love him back. That'll never happen. Sydney says, Grant, when are we going to take over and film Talking Real?
Yeah, just in case anybody doesn't know, that's my co-host. Our show, Talking Real, we're filmed every other, I don't know.
It's their parody of us.
I mean, we're more popular, but
Yeah.
we have like 2 views, so...
About what we have. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Hey, I know it's towards the end of the show. I want to be the first guest since these guys don't ever want me on ever again. Last time you were on, your mother yelled at me, pretty sure. So, anyway. Hey, guys, listen up. Up at the top, you have those 2 links. The link for Real Talk questions. We're always looking for topics and questions for for the web series. Also, if you want to be a guest, we've never done this. If you want to be a guest on Real Talk and you don't know us personally, use that link and type in your name and contact info, and we'll get a hold of you. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to be a guest, so we can. But use the link above, www.theremnant.live/real-talk. Type your name, contact info, and why you want to be on the show, and we'll get a hold of you because we're going to continue to do that. Also, you're going to find another link up there. Guys, listen. I'm serious about this. I know everybody's leery of money. Everybody's going through things. We're towards the end of the year, though, on holidays. Would you consider partnering with us financially and helping it any amount? We're not a multi-million-dollar production, clearly.
Right.
But if you could, at www.theremnant.life/give, you go down, drop-down box to Real Talk, and it's completely tax-deductible. You can claim it on your taxes. You can do it immediately from your phone. Or if you wanted to write a check, you could do that as well. But that's an easy way to know it goes right to Real Talk. We'd appreciate that so much, guys. It goes directly into the show. And our church is not a monster mega church that's supporting this. So we'd appreciate that. Other than that, guys, take a second and like, comment, share it.
Yes.
We're still excited about what Real Talk's going to do. It's going places, doing things. We're still trying to figure out this new system. Hey, Candace, we can figure out a way. There's virtual ways to have you on here. So we could do that. Put your name in there for real. Use the link, guys. That helps us. Use the link. Say you want to be a guest. Tell us why. www.theremnant.live/real-talk.
Boom.
Other than that, am I thinking anything else? Blake, you got anything? You can use your words.
I don't have anything.
All right. Fun turn. He's half asleep. Everybody else here, I want you guys to know, truthfully, we mean this from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much for giving us your time on a Thursday night.
Yes.
We love you. We appreciate you. Hey, one thing I want to leave you with. This is real. The get-to-know segments are to let you know different people who have one thing in common. They've met Jesus, and he's changed their life. And I'm telling you this. I was you. Maybe you're a person out there that doesn't believe in Jesus. This is all stupid, okay? Maybe you get it, but you don't understand. You want to believe, but it doesn't make sense. Maybe you want to believe, but you're in addictions, and you think that you got to get it all cleaned up before you can come to him. That's not the Jesus of the Bible.
Amen.
The fact is, he'll meet you right where you're at, and he just wants to save you. I mean that. You don't even know it. He wants to be in relationship with you. You don't have to carry that shame and guilt and all those things anymore. And here's my simple sentence to you. It's all real. It's real. I'm telling you that right now. It's real. And I just want to leave you with that tonight. It's real.
Amen. Brother.
He's real. God's real, and he's still moving in our life. And like Grant said, he still has his hand over his people. So he wants to. This may be your night. If you're going, is he talking to me? Yes, I am. If God is talking to you right now, that's your night. And the Bible says it really clearly that you can have a relationship with him by just confessing with your lips and believing in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord. He'll handle the rest. So I hope you guys have a great night. Like, share, comment. We welcome your prayers. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Hey, have a great night. We love you, and God bless you.